Have you heard? The plans to take Jamaica from a constitutional monarchy to a republic have been laid. So pay attention to the conversations being put forward by all parties so that when the time comes, you can make the right decision about how your country will be governed. Hi there, welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Coming up on today's program, we'll look at the budget of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation for this financial year. This and more. But first, the news.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, April 4, 2023. Children 12 years and younger can now access free medical care at the University Hospital of the West Indies, UHWI. The Ministry of Health and Wellness announced the measure in a press release yesterday. The decision is in response to an increase in admissions at the Bustamante Hospital for Children. The ministry says the increased admissions are mainly due to respiratory illnesses. To prevent overcrowding at the Bustamante Hospital and facilitate faster service, parents have been given the option of seeking care at the University Hospital. Meanwhile, pediatric patients at the Bustamante Hospital for Children can now interact with animals for comfort and to relieve stress and anxiety as they undergo treatment at the facility. It is being done under the Animal Assisted Recovery Care ARC pilot project, which is financed by the National Health Fund. This intervention, which is the first of its kind in Jamaica, was first announced in November last year by the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton. It was officially launched at the Bustamante Hospital for Children recently and will run for 18 months. Dr. Tufton says animal-assisted support is globally recognized as having various benefits for both patients and care providers, with positive psychosocial development derived from humans interacting and bonding with animals for health.
And what we're hoping to do, therefore, with this project is to create a sort of One Health approach that sees society in a holistic way. And we hope that Bustamante Hospital for Children will set the trend for the rest of the society to follow.
The main project animal is a golden retriever dog named Dr. Teddy Barks, maintained by the Hope Zoo. Other animals include birds, rabbits, and kittens. Pre-assessment was done at the hospital to ensure safe and effective interaction between the patients and the animals by the Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, JSPCA, the Hope Zoo, and Montego Bay Animal Haven. The project will involve monthly interactions and educational sessions with pre-selected patients. There is also a research component which will allow the facility to gather data on the intervention's impact on the healthcare system. In other news, the Cornwall Regional Hospital will boast 8 new Type A medical services on completion of the major rehabilitation works now underway. Clinical coordinator at the Western Regional Health Authority, Dr. Delroy Frey, outlined the increased range of specialities during a recent town hall meeting. It was held at the Montego Bay Civic Center in St. James to update the public on the rehabilitation of the hospital.
We'll have infectious disease specialty, pulmonology, endocrinology, facial-maxillary services, cardiothoracic services, gyne-oncology services, fetal-maternal and reproductive endocrinology.
He says some areas have already been partially introduced during the relocation to facilitate the rehabilitation. Dr. Frey adds that a burn unit is also being developed at the Cornwall Regional Hospital to provide advanced care and treatment for patients with severe burns. Patients will also be able to access free colonoscopy services as soon as the rehabilitated hospital becomes operational.
Every single person, doesn't matter what problems you have, once you are over 45 years of age, you should have a colonoscopy done. In the private sector, the cost for a colonoscopy will run you somewhere about $65,000. We want to put in a suite where our public patient will be able to access colonoscopy services at the Cornwall Hospital free of cost.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries has mobilized the relevant stakeholders who import onion to ensure that the distribution bottlenecks being experienced are swiftly eliminated. These stakeholders include members of the Potato and Onion Producers Association. The ministry has also refuted media reports that it facilitated imports to the detriment of local farmers, insisting that its policies and interventions have been to drive production and productivity to ensure Jamaica's food security. According to the ministry, when making import decisions, it conducts continuous inventory checks on onion supplies at the major importers, along with an assessment of local production. Price variables are also considered to ensure consumers have access to affordable food options. The ministry says it is mindful that during the harvesting period for local onions, an abundance of imported crops will create a market imbalance, adding that this is why deliberate steps are taken to encourage purveyors who would normally seek to import onions to purchase and store locally. On average, Jamaica imports approximately 10,000 tons or 22 million pounds of onions annually. This translates to a monthly average of 833 tons. In the 2021-22 crop season, Jamaica produced roughly 40% of local demand, and based on the ministry's projections for 2022-23, this is expected to increase significantly. The targeted production for the 2022-23 crop season was 400 hectares, and to date, approximately 310 hectares have been established. Meanwhile, farmers in St. Thomas are being praised for their exceptional yield and the progress they are making in onion production. According to reports, the farmers have already produced 2/3 of the country's harvest. Agriculture Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says the St. Thomas farmers are now regarded as the most prolific in the Caribbean.
You are growing more in St. Thomas than anywhere in the Caribbean. And we intend to make St. Thomas the strongest producers of onion going forward for the entire Caribbean.
The minister was speaking during a recent meeting with the farmers. Acting Chief Executive Officer of RADA, Winston Simpson, who was also at the meeting, says the organization intends to solidify the agreements being made between suppliers and the farmers for a larger harvesting in the upcoming 2 months.
We heard of the amount of onions in the ground and all of that. I am telling you, we are happy that you have produced. All that you have produced, you have not even cement or touch the demand that we have nationally. We were just 20% in production of the consumption. We're moving to 40. We want to reach 100.
The Agriculture Ministry has constructed a facility in Christiana, Manchester, to accept some of the onions, in addition to facilities in St. Anne and Clarendon to help with the expansion of onion production. And finally, April is being celebrated as Farmers' Month to recognize the men, women, and youth who are contributing to the country's economic recovery. Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Pernell Charles Jr., launched the month of activities recently.
We stand resolute this morning with our farmers, with the fishers, with the stalwarts in this sector that held up the agriculture and fisheries sector and industry. We stand and we salute those officials and technical experts in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries.
As part of Farmers' Month activities, a garden is being established at the Randolph Lopez School of Hope in St. Anne. On April 10, the Montpelier Agricultural Show and the Jamaica 4-H Club's Parish Achievement Day Youth Farmers Market will be held. The introduction of the Pradial Larceny Watch campaign and a Market Linkages networking session are both slated for April 13. On April 18 in St. Catherine, there will be a National Fisheries Authority Customer Appreciation Day. On April 19 in St. Elizabeth, there will be a tour of the Pedro Pond. And the St. Anne Agricultural Show is scheduled for April 28. Farmers are also invited to take their livestock to be artificially inseminated at Minard Estate in St. Anne on April 26. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
The latest now on all that happened in the office of the Prime Minister this past week.
Prime Minister tours major infrastructure projects and calls for more large investment projects to benefit ordinary Jamaicans. I'm Simone Wolf and you're watching Jamaica House Weekly. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced an additional $70 million of investment earmarked for the upgrading and modernization of the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay. He made the disclosure while touring the project on Saturday. The work, set to begin in June, will involve expansion of the check-in hall, outbound security, the East Concourse, an air-sea lounge, landside roadworks, and a car park. A mobile gas station will service the airport.
This increases the capability of the Sangster International Airport. It means that we can now get larger aircraft with more passengers, can take more cargo, but the real benefit is that we are now open to other destinations which are further away from Jamaica, which increases our possibilities for tourism. Mr.
Holness gave the update as he toured the ongoing runway extension and civil infrastructure project also being undertaken at a cost of $70 million.
This is a massive investment in Jamaica's travel infrastructure. The investment involves $70 million of infrastructure work on the runway itself and on the supporting civil infrastructure for the runway.
This phase of the work, which is about 85% complete, includes relocation of roads, lengthening the runway by 400 meters, and the installation of new underground utilities to protect the shoreline. And still in the West, Prime Minister Holness toured works currently underway at the Cornwall Regional Hospital. The government has recommitted to increasing the budget for restoration work to $14.1 billion. $5 billion was originally programmed for the rehabilitation work, which commenced in 2019 and is being executed in multiple phases. Mr. Holness indicates that there are several issues that only became apparent as the project progressed.
When you actually now start to strip the building and you begin to see all the cracks, all the concrete that is crumbling, all the steel that is rotting, all the issues. What you initially budget may not be what is the final cost. And that obviously was the case here, both in terms of the resources and in terms of the time.
The Prime Minister says the hospital's rehabilitation required further specialized skills and talents which have been brought in to complete the reconstruction process that has entered Phase 3. This aspect entails internal works relating to constructing the operating theatres, offices, wards, sockets, medical oxygen installation, piping and electrical features, among others. The completion date for Cornwall Regional Hospital's rehabilitation is March 2025. Meanwhile, work continues on the construction of the Western Children and Adolescent Hospital being built on the compound of the Cornwall Regional Hospital. Prime Minister Holness also toured the site this weekend.
It will offer a wide range of services, and it will certainly improve the quality of life of our young people, our children and adolescents, certainly in terms of medical care and attention.
The Prime Minister says this new facility could spark a new health industry for children and adolescents from around the region coming to access specialist health care in Jamaica. And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has hailed Red Stripe's $2 billion Sellers Expansion project for beer production as a symbol of business confidence in Jamaica. Mr. Holness, who was on hand for the project's launch, describes it as a good indicator that Jamaica is doing well despite some economic hardships.
You, as an international company, that you have options all over, that you continue to place your money in the factory, which is right here on Jamaican soil, to produce this great beer. It is a powerful symbol of confidence in Jamaica. And I'm here to endorse that and to continue to encourage you to make investments in brand Jamaica
The expansion will increase the storage capacity at Red Stripe to 1 million hectoliters of beer per year. The Prime Minister says the next step is to find a way to make this and other massive investments be of economic benefit to ordinary Jamaicans. And this is where we close out Jamaica House Weekly. We'll be back next week with more stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
The government is making good on its promise to develop infrastructure and create job security for all Jamaicans. Let's now look at the plans laid out in the budget for this fiscal year.
A vision is not merely a dream. It's not what you do with your eyes closed. A vision is what you do conscious, open, active. And so the visionary gets it done.
And it is with a vision to foster a Jamaican economy that exceeds its growth targets that the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation continues to strive. In the fiscal year that runs from April 2023 to March 2024, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is working with a budget of $15.9 billion for its day-to-day expenses. Of that amount, several agencies will have a share, namely the Forestry Department, National Land Agency, National Environment and Planning Agency, and the National Works Agency. $8.2 billion will see to road construction and repairs, other infrastructure development, and efforts to maintain the environment. From a further $1.5 billion allotted, the ministry will pursue squatter management, the strategic identification of land to facilitate housing developments, and social housing assistance programs. Water supply services will also share in the provision. The remaining amount will support economic growth and job creation activities in other areas. One component of this is the pre-investment planning for the Port Royal Master Plan, Government Oval, and the Houses of Parliament. For the financial year 2023, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation will be spending approximately $33 billion on special projects. The majority share, in the form of $22.1 billion, is going to the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. It is jointly funded by the Government of Jamaica and a China Exim Bank loan. It is expected that by 2024, the Maypen to Williams Field and the Harborview to Cedar Valley pathways will all achieve full completion. Motorists traveling to Montego Bay are also set to soon have a safe and reliable alternative path to the second city. The government is shelling out $7.2 billion to make this a reality. The project will see the construction of 15 kilometers of a 4-lane carriageway from Iron Shore to Bogue. It is expected that the land to construct the new road will be acquired by next year. The National Road Operating and Construction Company, NROC, is approximating that 15% of construction will be completed by 2024. The tourist-filled capital will also see some road rehabilitation in its environs. Still on road repairs, residents of Grange Lane in St. Catherine can look forward to rehabilitations in that area.
What I want for Jamaica to do is to see the improvement in their communities, and I'm sure Jamaica has seen a vast improvement in the road conditions throughout the country.
The $878 million widening and dualization of Grange Lane is to be implemented by the National Works Agency starting this year. Entrepreneurs may want to celebrate the $1.1 billion that has been allotted to the Big E program. Funded by the European Union and the Inter-American Development Bank, the program was established to promote sustainable and robust growth among startups and MSMEs. A further $750 million will support access to finance for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. The program, which has been extended to January of next year, will see a complete capital injection into the SME Fund. The IDB-funded Credit Enhancement Fund, also designed to help MSMEs access financing, will wrap up activities with a $24.3 million in capital injection. It will end September of this year. Climate resistance and climate adaptation measures continue to be a priority of the government. This can be seen in the $405.6 million allocated to the Montego Bay Waterfront Protection Project. A complete rehabilitation of the Montego Bay groins is expected to reduce the loss of beachfront acreage due to coastal erosion. Likewise, the IAECO and the Pilot Program for Climate Resilience PPCR2 programs, which received $146 million collectively, will assist in climate adaptation efforts.
Resilience, recovery, and renewal are very important concepts to the future development of Jamaica.
Other projects include continued work to renovate the United Nations House on Port Royal Street and an electronic land titling project.
We have the capacity to pursue huge, major development projects, include the people, preserve the environment, and improve the general aesthetics so that the human condition and the human development can be maximized.
Respect for myself and others. Self-discipline means there's a right way to conflict resolution. Kindness and compassion say being nice is normal. Honesty and integrity are badges of honor. Yes, we choose values for life. The Ministries of Education and National Security started a collaborative effort to lift schools in a fallen state to ones which students and teachers can be proud of. Let's now look at the transformation made at the St. James High School.
Through a joint effort between the Ministries of National Security and Education and Youth, a 25-school strategy has been established to assess, recommend, intervene, and support students who exhibit maladaptive behavior. The project was also established to inform administrators, parents, and the government of the underlying reasons a child might act out violently and disruptively. St. James High School was one of the 25 institutions chosen to start the evaluation process. One reason for this is that students attending this institution were notorious for engaging in violent activities, as evidenced by disturbances, altercations, stabbings, and even fatalities. With this negative reputation and reality, the future for students here seemed uninspiring and disheartening for administrators and parents. But one change would be the catalyst for transformation. Joseph Williams was appointed principal of the institution and took on the job resolved to see a positive new path for St. James High. He arrived determined to instill hope in both the students and the surrounding community that anything is possible.
I came here April 1, 2004 to a school which it was said was in a bad state in terms of students' conduct, performance, all negative things about it. When I came, it was like permanent recess. Students were always outside, unruly, fights and all. So I had my plans from early as to what I would do to change things. I went to Church Teachers College. I specialize in social studies and geography, and social studies is key. It's about people, and so that was a key factor. And then my upbringing, and then I believe in God.
After working in the educational system for 18 years, Mr. Williams knows a thing or two about how to enforce discipline. So he employed the 3 C's method: conduct, content, and covenant management. He was convinced that these steps were necessary to steer the institution in the right direction. Mr. Williams' overarching goal became behavior management while utilizing strategies to increase students' skill sets, learning capacities, and interpersonal interactions.
The mission of St. James High School is to establish and manage an atmosphere conducive to the holistic development of each child, teacher, and all other members of the school community, embracing the fact that discipline is the essence of education, while preparing students at all times through caring and sharing, and we strive toward better living.
The mission was initially impeded by what Mr. Williams perceived as a fundamental problem for children who found it difficult to accept discipline as an integral element of education.
I remember many of these boys would say, "Sir, I don't have no father, sir. I don't know him, no father, sir. Then kill my father, sir." And I'm saying, why? So I had to back up. So it came to me now that there were so many here. That's a population of over 2,400. And it seems like I couldn't find 200 students here who live with mother and father. I declared from this balcony here to the students that I am the father.
And with the assistance of Michelle Pinnock, the Ministry of Education's Regional Director for St. James, the work became doable.
I think she understands what we are going through at the school and what is needed. And I'm satisfied with how much she will cooperate with us.
As it is now, it is a school that many parents want to send their children to. Before, you used to have parents wanting to remove their children, but now it's a school of choice, really a school of choice.
So in every school, the teacher, the principal, teachers, everybody there should accept the students. That's where you work.
And for the family support.
Parenting needs to be strengthened. Parenting. Parents must take charge. You cannot have people becoming parents and you are weak. You cannot allow a gang leader to take your child.
And so, through perseverance, a once lost school was restored. In the words of Principal Williams, it is the attitude that determines the altitude, and then, above all else, give love.
We've come to the end of another magazine program. I do hope you had a wonderful time. Should you want a recap of today's show or any other program, visit our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Edwin Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.